Welcome to part 4 of building my teardrop camper. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be gluing the outer wall to the middle wall. There's a couple things that I need to do in order to prep this, and you've seen me doing a whole bunch of things, but there are a couple last minute things that I thought of, and I'm glad I did because they're going to be very necessary when I get these things put together to have thought this through. There's going to be a couple of perforations in this outer wall, and they're mainly for lights. And so what I've got here is I've got the outer wall laid out, and I have the lights in place. So I got these side marker lights, and these are very cool little side marker lights, and they're from Vintage Technologies. And you can see here's the other one. And then I have my porch light, which is up here. So in order to put these in, of course, I have to drill some holes. So I drilled the holes. I'll just pull this one out. You can see I just drilled a hole for each one of these. The wires will pass through to the inside and then run up in these open spaces on the middle wall in order for connection. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this outer wall off after I mark these holes, and then I'll show you what I do to the middle wall in order to accommodate the wires. Okay, I removed the outer wall, and you can see the marks. Here's the rear. So this would be for the rear side marker light, and here's for the front, and there's the one for the porch light. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a large diameter Forstner bit, which is right here, and I'm going to drill out some pockets. And what these are going to do is these basically act as electrical boxes. So when I put the wires through, I've got a little room in there to work with. I'm going to drill this so, let me put my glasses on. I'm going to drill this so that it covers the hole, but also is close to here, because I am going to also then have to make a channel that goes from here up into here, because this is where I'll be making the penetration for the wires. Put a little something underneath here so I don't go through my work table. Okay. So there you can see, and what I'll do is I'll drill a hole through here so I can run the wires through. So I'm going to go ahead and do this on the other ones as well. Okay, now that that's done, what I will do is I will trim up some of these edges and drill the holes to pass the wires through. So this one is at the front corner of the teardrop. I'm going to drill straight through the frame because the wires are going to run out here in the space between the ceiling and the roof. So the wires will run here, and then I'll go through the frame right here and then down into this hole. So I'll just drill through the frame somewhere between supports number 1 and 2. Like that. This is at the back of the teardrop, and this is for the rear side marker light. And so I'm going to drill through here because this one I'm going to run the wires inside the cabinet back to the wiring chase, which you'll see in several videos from now once I get the walls assembled. Yep. One of the things I'm also going to do is I'm going to mark these just so I remember that there is a wiring chase right there. For this one is for the porch light, and This one is going to be a little bit different in that it's going to have multiple wires in it, because I'm going to have a switch down inside the cabin that will allow me to turn this porch light on and off. So I'll be running more wires through it, and also it's a longer run, so you'll see in a little while what I do for that. There we go. Okay, so okay, now I've got that done. What I'm going to do is just take this frame off the table and clean the table off a little bit, getting ready for the next thing. Okay, I'm ready to put the panels on the workbench, but first I want to show you something that I've done here. So on the workbench, what I've done is I've screwed some cleats into the workbench. And earlier I took the panels and I put them up here and then placed these cleats in place. What these do is these will allow me to index the two pieces as I'm gluing them up. That is, it's going to just help me line everything up. So I think this is important, and so this is what I did. I just glued them right to the top of the workbench. So I'm going to go ahead and put these panels up. And you can see how that fits right in there on these cleats. Now I'm just going to put this middle wall up just so I can make sure that I've got all my holes drilled correctly before I commit with glue. And to give myself a little bit of practice, dropping this thing into place. There we go. Now, run it back against the cleat, and everything should line up and be correct. It's pretty close. So, just show you down inside these holes. So you can see there's where I drilled through for the light, and then this is the little box that the wiring will sit in, and then I'll push through here. See how that one came out. And also how this comes out. Notice I got some arrows here. I drilled the hole in the wrong place, so I had to drill a second hole. I'll patch that later. I've also taken some blue painter's tape here and just put it along this line. Remember, this line on that middle wall, that section is going to be cut away, so I want to make sure that I don't glue that section down here because I'd never get it off of there. So I put some painter's tape, and that'll help me separate that out in case I get some glue out in here. I'm also going to take some wax paper, and I'm going to put wax paper around the door openings and all around the edges, so in case I get some glue out there, I don't glue the whole thing to the bench top. So that would be a real problem if I did that. Also put some glue or put some wax paper underneath these holes. So I'll go ahead and do that. The glue that I'm going to use is Loctite PL Premium. This is just regular, this is construction adhesive. I get the stuff that basically says permanently bonds almost any substrate. And it's a polyurethane glue, and I find that it works really well, and it's really, really strong. Now, since I'm going to be putting this on a flat surface, what I'll want to do is put some beads down, and then I'm going to trowel it out with this notched trowel. And this just levels it out a little bit, make sure I get very good coverage. The other thing is I wear gloves when I put this stuff on. If you get it on your skin, first of all, it's really difficult to get off, but it also will discolor your skin, and you can't get it off of there. So I always wear gloves when I do this. But there's basically no odor with this stuff, and it works pretty good and gives me about 25-30 minutes of open time, so I have time to work on this. I still have to work pretty quickly, but it does give me some time to work on it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this and get going on it. What I'll do is I'll take a couple beads, like that, put some stuff in the center. Okay, then I take my trowel and trowel it out. I get it right up to the edges of these holes. If it goes over a little bit, that's okay. Okay, I've got everything pretty much troweled out here, so I want to make sure I push this back into the pocket, so into all of my cleats. You want to make sure that you've got pretty good coverage around the doors and around the edges. Now I'll go ahead and put this middle wall up. There's a little bit of a trick to that. Roughly align the marks that I made. Move around to the other side. That's the trick. Then drop this in place. Make sure all my edges are lined up and firm up against these cleats, and they are. So now I'll start clamping it down. The first clamp I'm going to use, it's what I call a bow clamp, and this is just a warped 2x4. I'll clamp on this side. Over here, and the warp will help push it down. Okay, the rest of the clamps are going to be primarily what I like to call gravity clamps. And these are 50-pound bags of sand. I will also take some screws, and I'm going to screw down in some of the critical areas, like around the door and whatnot, where I need to make sure that I have a really good seal. Not seal, bond. Alright, now that I've got that done, we just leave it for 24 hours, and when we come back, we should have a wall that's assembled.